What if I told you that a healthcare founder with 2 successful exits, breaking through technology, tracking 10 million medical samples, and partnership with global giants like Siemens, still could not get investors to lean forward in their chairs? Today, you'll hear exactly what was missing from his pitch and how simple 15 minutes we were able to turn confusion into clarity. This is the real-time breakdown every healthcare founder needs to hear before their next investor meeting. Welcome to Provider's Edge, the podcast that helps healthcare entrepreneurs and innovators break down barriers and control their business, life, and future with valuable action steps. With me, your host, Sabrina Runbeck, a recovered clinician and a business deal catalyst. Let's rewrite the rules and create a positive social impact while increasing your profitability. If you're a healthcare founder who's tired of hearing, come back when you have more traction from investors, or if you kept losing deals to competitors with inferior solutions simply because they communicate better, or they may have better introductions to get to the right conversation, this episode is for you. You know your product works. You have the clinical data, but somehow your message isn't landing with the people who matter most. I'm Sabrina Runbeck, founder of Pulse Point Path, and you're listening to Provider's Edge, ranked in the top 5% globally with more than 300 episodes. With 14 years spanning business strategy and clinical medicine, from technology startup to executive boardroom, I think too many smart healthcare solutions fail, not because the science, but because the story. That's exactly why we created our Pitch Perfect workshop, and Pulse Point Path is the leader. We help health tech founders transform what technically brilliant but unclear presentation into compelling communicators who inspire both trust and action. Because the best product doesn't always win, the best communicated product does. If you're preparing for sale, conversation, or fundraising, join our free workshop at pulsepointpath.com/pitch-workshop. Now, today's episode features a live analytics from our recent workshop where we broke down real founder pitches using our proven framework. You'll hear exactly what works, what doesn't, and how to build the 3 pillars of trust every investor seeks. Trust in your product, your company, and you. Now let's hear from Javier Cuello.
Every day in the US, the equivalent of a jumbo jet crashes. Over 250,000 people die each year due to preventable medical errors. 1 person every 2 minutes. But this isn't about bad physicians. It's a data problem. We all know that most diagnoses rely on lab results, but you may not know that 2 out of 3 lab errors happen before the sample gets analyzed in what is known as the pre-analytical stage. That's what we are solving at H+Trace. Our smart, wireless, and fully automated traceability technology ensures the integrity of medical samples without touching the packaging, improving diagnostics and saving lives. There are 2 key timing factors at play, the technological and regulatory. There hasn't been real innovation in this space for 25 years, which directly has consequences on diagnostics. And thankfully, regulators are now beginning to demand solutions like ours to make this stage of the process more efficient and trustworthy, turning a huge problem into a huge opportunity. And this technology turned out to be so effective that not only we have already tracked over 10 million samples, but it's also being used in organ transplants. In the last 18 months, we secured $500,000 in funding, signed agreements with global corporations like Siemens Healthineers, been through accelerated programs like Endeavor, Textors, Plug and Play, and hit break-even last quarter. I am a serial entrepreneur with 2 exits under my belt. My co-founder and CTO has 12 years of experience developing innovative products, and our advisors have collectively raised or exited companies for over $450 million. We're looking to connect with tier 1 companies that may find our technology useful, and also we're planning to raise 1.5 million in our upcoming round.
I think it's amazing effort. What do we first of all, what do we learn from Javier? Everyone who like to chime in.
I think for 2 minutes you have to have a elevator pitch without slide deck. So I think that's. But then I thought the purpose of your session was to look at the slide deck and give comments on that. But I think he captured a lot of the points because he was able to do it as an elevator pitch without deck.
Yeah, good point. So we can use this pitch for any format, right? We can use it for networking. We can use it for a pitch competition. Some pitch competition, you only have 1 minute. Some are longer, let's say 5 minutes. So it definitely is a challenge, but it's a great effort in what we have. Okay, so lots great stuff. I would say you fit many things in, right? So just to clarify, are you looking for investors, enterprise clients, or more of a strategic partners, or this is more of a combo?
A combo, both.
Combo. Okay.
Yeah. Because our service is very B2B, very enterprise B2B.
Okay, perfect. All right. All right. Yes. Okay, good. So what I liked from the beginning is the hook is there, right? Like, so when you started speaking, I would say I wanted to know what exactly is happening, right? Like, so sometimes it's hard for us to think about what exactly the problem, solution, market size, all that. But you hit on many different good points because you have you have your market, you have the credibility, who you are. You guys did exit. So people wanted to know not only you have great scientific, technical people, there are people who actually built business before. And so the challenge for some of the first-time founders is that it doesn't have to be you that had experience. It can be many other people, right? For you guys, since you have founded an exit company, that gives it credibility. Okay, so you said every day in the U.S. the equivalent of a jumbo jet crashes, right? So then immediately you're using statistics to help us to think about how big the problem is. Right. And then that is the emotional connection that we wanted to give, first of all. Right. And then over 250,000 people die each year and due to preventable medical errors. So now you're bringing in an existing problem that we already know in the space to something that we reshifting the mind to something that we wanted to focus on. And then we got into a very specific, relatable, how big the problem is. Again, down to 1 person every 2 minutes. But this isn't about statistics, right? It's really about the missing diagnosis, the laboratory. So now you start to bring us from this giant umbrella down to the narrow type of what could be. All right. And then you get down to, okay, so what is our solution, right? So I think what everyone is learning from Javier's pitch is this is the great thing of his approach is we have to see a big picture first. We have to see something that we can be immediately understand, and then helping people to create this, what we say, a customer journey. Right? How do they want to recognize the problem when the problem is not there? How do you connect with people that perhaps might not have even inclination of what this is? And then going into your expertise is about improving diagnosis and saving lives. And most of all of your solution is about saving lives. It's just all the approach is different. And then you start talking about a little bit more regulatory. The space, is a space for 25 years, and it could just be like, how come it's taking us so long, right? Like, so what is about the space makes the 25 years? Why the past 25 years hasn't improved, and you're the special one, right? So that could help with the improve in that sense of adding a little bit of a competitive edge. In terms of turning this huge problem into a big opportunity, I think now you start tracking into over the past 10 million samples. It's not just using organ transplant, right? And then in the last 18 months, now we start having a time frame reshaping in our belief system. And you start adding credibility right there. You guys secured $500,000 in funding, right? So now it's like some other people also believing in you. And then it gives additional, investors, as well as if this is going to, I'm asking for a pilot, whatnot, there's at least some other people that's, this is all new, right? And then what I also liked is you start getting into the co-founder, right? Like, we have two co-founders. They are CTOs with many years experience, and you have advisors who has raised company before, right? So I think that's in terms of timing, I wanted perhaps your problem statement to be a little bit shorter. So then you're going to have time at the end to talk about go to market. What does that look like? What's the business model looks like? And then the final call to action, right? Those would be helpful. Actually, it's, guys, it's really good is Dr. Roya, she used her slide deck. So we're able to see the dynamic of using slide deck versus Javier used, he just talked, right? So then my analysis is going to be more on how you speak instead of more of your deck. So as we go through the other people's, you guys can have two ways. Do you want me to focus more on breaking down your deck to improve? Because that's what I always say, that's our face, right? The first impression. So do you want to improve that versus, hey, I actually wanted to improve how I speak to other about it, because sometimes people never get to the deck, right? Or because the deck is something so easy for us to share, then I'd rather improve the deck so people want it to be like, oh, that makes sense. And then let me talk to her or him. Okay, so think in terms of those areas. Okay, so just bring up the report for Javier. But Javier, just overall, when we analyze your deck, the deck score is 4.1, just so you know. And then, so the category that we broke down is content. You got 3.9 for what you wrote. The deck structure, you got 4 out of 5. The branding was 4 out of 5 in terms of visuals. And the storytelling is 4, because I did like the way that you give initial action and then bring it down. Trust and transparency, I think, is also 4, because you mentioned about the exit, the raise that you guys did before. Sustainability is 3.7, because I didn't quite hear enough about scenario adaptability, like the business structure, right? How you're going to do it, not just the what. Scalability right now is, I think, readiness, probably a 3.5 for me. I think there's a strength on your plug and play architect, hardware agnostic, things like that. Wanted to have a more summary on how the platform will be able to scale across the different healthcare verticals. And then viability is the 3.5 at this point as well. Okay, so really quickly, just on the pitch itself. All right, so pattern interrupt. In terms of the A persuasion element, number 1 is pattern interrupt. So, time's up, but I'll just go over this really quickly. And then social we wanted to hear a little bit of social proof, right? That means the competitor analysis part. What do you do that needed to be a little bit more strong? And differentiator is hard to know at this point, but your traction clearly, the technology side, leadership is amazing, right? I think once you get to the CTAs, what we kind of missed. So overall, what's working is the accelerator you guys belong to, breaking even, a strong founder, operator, and then powerful advisor board. What's missing is make it very clear what the product does. Okay, who is it for? What pain point it solves? I think you actually get some market size in there, leveraging this but I wanted to be more clear in a sense of everyone 1 in 2 minutes misdiagnosed is important, but how many, right? We can say a type of number in there. And then why now is a critical point of all the things we're solving in medicine. Okay. There's a lot more into it. There's a rewrite, but just to be fair, we'll move on to the next person. Okay. Was this helpful? What was the thing you wished you liked more of, or what's the biggest thing you got out of this?
It was very helpful. I had 2 questions, really good questions. One is, how do you feel about rhetorical questions when pitching? And the second is, how do you feel about the kind of doing? How many of you have a misdiagnosis or something like that? Doing that in a live pitch with audience. How do you feel about those techniques?
Yeah. So from we're all about crowdfunding on stage, in a sense, right? Like, this is how I say, why do we even become a speaker? Why do we talk about conference? It's we're crowdfunding on stage. So when you are able to have the time, rhetorical question is great. But when you do ask the rhetorical question, you have to think about, do you have the space to hear people talk back to you? So when I did my TED Talk, I asked a lot of rhetorical questions. Well, not a lot, right? Like, I think 3, it is a lot when you only have 18 minutes. But when I did ask the question, I paused. I let the audience to feedback on me. And then something I did a pattern interrupt, I sang. And the song of the lyric linked up to what I wanted to talk about. It's about building your own empowered ecosystem. And why you have to do that, you have to be brave. Take a stand, right? Get yourself out there. So
you just heard Javier's pitch, his medical traceability technology. And now I also broke down what happens during his 2-minute exchange and what need to be optimized. Javier's pitch reviewed both the power and the pitfalls that most health tech founders face when trying to communicate their breakthrough solutions. So what did Javier do absolutely right? Number 1, powerful pattern interrupt, starting with every day in the US, the equivalent of a jumbo jet crashes. Immediately grab attention and create an emotional investment. Number 2, strong credibility markers, mentioning his 2 successful exit, 10 million sample tracked, and partnership with Siemens built immediate trust. Number 3, clear problem frame. He successfully took us from a big picture, medical errors, down to the specific issues, pre-analytic lab errors. Number 4, authentic vulnerability. His honest admission to that he's pitching afterwards actually made him more relatable and trustworthy. Now, that's also through conversation we got to that point. And so what was missing that caused him investor attention? Number 1, the why now factor. While he mentioned 25 years without innovation, he didn't explain what changed to make this the right time for his solution. Number 2, market size clarity. No specific numbers about the total addressable market or how big this problem really is financially means if you're addressing a $5 million problem and you are only charging people a small fraction of that, yes, people are willing to do something about it. Number 3, clear value proposition. We hear what the product does, but not the specific outcome or ROI for their customers, investors, or interpret contract. Number 4, concrete ask. He mentioned looking for connections and planning to raise 1.5 million, but didn't specifically say exactly what he needed or hope to do with that money. The critical learning moments we have here is that here is a founder that has the right ingredients, proving track records, real traction, strategic partners, and genuine problem to solve. But as I told him, people don't care about us until they care about what we can help them with. He led with his credential instead of leading with the customer's pain. This is why we teach our specific time allocation, especially in just 2 minutes, which you can use for a network introduction or a pitch. 15 seconds for the hook, 30 seconds for problem and solution, and so on. When you're forced into this structure, you quickly discover what truly matters to your audience versus what matters to you as the founder. The transformation happens when you shift from, quote, let me tell you about my amazing technology, end quote, to, quote, let me show you how we solve your biggest headache, end quote. That's the difference between a pitch that gets polite nods and one that gets investor leaning forward and asking, tell me more. If you want to master this framework and avoid the mistakes that keep brilliant founders like Javier from getting the attention they deserve, join us at our next Pitch Perfect workshop at postpointpass.com/pitch-workshop.
Thank you for tuning in to Provider's Edge podcast. We hope you enjoy our latest episode and found the insights and tips helpful. We'd love to hear your feedback on the show and learn what topics you'd like us to cover in the future. So please take a moment to leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform and let us know what you think. Your feedback is essential to help us improve the show and provide you with the content you need to take your healthcare business to the next level. Thank you for your support, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.